Okay, this says I'm live. Hey, this is Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music, my channel on YouTube, and this is To Play and Sing, episode 72, which is where this is a live Q&A. I got the Q, I got the A, it's all right there. And this is where you can ask all your musical questions about everything.
This is Mark Teaches Music,
my channel
on YouTube.
Do not know why that's talking. Why would I be able to hear that? 772. Wow.
This is a live Q&A.
I got the Q, I got the A. All right there. And this is where you can ask all your musical questions about everything.
Mark Teaches Music, my channel.
I hope that's still working.
Do not know why that's
So I still see a
talking.
signal
Why
coming.
would
I'll
I
be able to hear that.
772.
Wow. Let's turn that one off. Let's see what we got now. All right, you guys can tell me. Nope. And all right, so you need to let me know if you got two. Anybody, those who are listening, let me know if I got two vocals coming out. That's going to be really tough. I have no idea. We had our concerts Sunday, what's today? It's Wednesday, so it's 2 days ago, and 3 days ago. And so anyway, a lot of had a hard time getting the video even look like anything. I'm not quite happy with it now, although I do have my little guy here. He's pretty happy. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, Mark Teaches Music, and this is To Play and Sing, episode 72. And the point of this today is to get to help you fix things. And my gosh, how many times did I wish? So seriously though, somebody could ask somebody questions and just help me make sense of all this stuff. And guitar, voice, piano, flute, sax, oboe, mandolin, ukulele, music theory, songwriting, bass, worship, praise and worship, praise the Lord. So ask me something. Come on, ask me. So anyway, I hope this sounds good to me, but I had turned off one of the channels. I have no idea why two sounds are coming out. So anyway, last week in number 71, which is a video you can look at there on the lives, we talked about, let's see, I'm just reading this. We talked about what's great about just enjoying making music, how that helps you. Just is so neat. The power of being at live performances, what live performances do for you. Not talking about performing at this exact moment. I'm talking about, you are listening to people perform. And gosh, about learning something wrong and trying to unlearn it, or technique, having a bad technique that's hurting you and then trying to unlearn it. The difficulties with that's muy difícil, as I've written there. We talked about the visual aspect of your performance. Again, like right now, there's a visual aspect to this, right? You're not just listening to a recording. And so whatever's off, including the stupid, if the audio is still doing the rebound thing, then hey, that's an aspect. And and then about how thinking ahead helps your performance and tremendously. And then we talked about the freeze, fight, or flight reflex, about how that affects your playing and learning. And there's look at that guy. Go away. Okay. And we talked about how to learn new chord types, how to organize them in your head, that not just like this is good or this is bad, but or a big mush of 300,000, which there are 250,000 chords on the guitar. There are several million chords on the piano. That doesn't mean there's that many different types, but there's many different ways to play the many chords. And depending how you want to count it, we could say there's 50 or 100 kinds of chords. Some people will kind of glop them all together. Some people will be more specific. I think we talked about personality and your musical problems, and about how you should take lessons. And we talked about that you should go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com and check out lessons, or email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons. Take lessons. Hey, duh. And and then we talked about what kind of vocalist is required to be a great sight reader versus many kinds of famous and wonderful vocalists who are not required to do that at all, or very infrequently. And how to start solving your timing and rushing issues, and about ways to develop your ear with listening to chords. So anyway, so now talking about until I get your questions in here to answer them, and I have other questions. These are 3 days ago. Not during the concerts, but the day before. And so we talked about performance persona, or not talked about, I want to talk about performance persona, which it just, many people who are performers, famous performers, their names. You hear it all the time, after I get through performing, I go throw up, or I'm scared to death until I hit the stage, or I'm scared to death when I'm on the stage. Or, I remember the first time I performed and this horrible thing happened. I was so nervous. And so it's a very good thing and totally fine and wonderful. And maybe 80% of all performers should use the idea of a stage persona. I do not mean fake. I do not mean to make up, little Joey is my alternate ego, and some famous people who's, I'm not trying to remember them right now, will be like, my muse takes over my me, and now I'm not talking about that in the least. I'm saying that, for example, in this concert that was done over, I did a song with some wonderful student, You Got a Friend in Me. And so when I had my part, which was we divided into, she's a girl, and in my part, so I'm the guy. So when I'm singing it, my part, I'm Randy Newman. I'm going, some folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe, and that's awesome to do that. I'm talking about you're nervous, you're unused to performing for people, you don't know what to do. Several ideas. One is, and which I tell students all the time, and you should do this too, is that you should pick 2 or 3 of your favorite performers and watch them live, not live at the Las Vegas where there's dancers around or something, but live when they're just them or just their band, and see what they do, and when you find in those 2 or 3, you'll find a couple of people that are you're comfortable with, you say, yeah, that's me, I like that. And then another idea is the idea I'm pretending, and for me, that's how I do the things I do. I'm not being silly or whatever it sounds. When I don't really play the trumpet at all, but I do have a trumpet, and I have played around on the trumpet. And when I do, I act like a trumpet player, and I'm doing you see my hand? This is trumpet player stuff, man. I'm like, why? Because it's like a leg up. It's like I'm ahead of the guy that's going like, what is this? I don't know. And I'm not talking about trumpet playing. I'm saying, so you're singing a country song, you're singing a rock song, you're playing a blues thing. There are technical issues, which we're going to actually talk about today. Technical things that come up that need to be done, but there's another aspect that sort of supersedes that or stands on top of that, and that is the idea of you, I may not be singing great, but I am singing like the greats sing. They sing like this, and they sing better than me, but or they play better than me. They're this or that more than me. But what I am doing is I've got them as a model in my head, So and it's not being fake at all, because and if you, just want to say, if you want to look at it, reality, being reality. I want to be real. The reality is, I don't play as well as I should. You don't play as well as you should. The reality is, you're not reaching or grabbing the audience like you should. You don't have I don't have the right, all the skills that I need to play everything well. That's reality, So, meaning that, so a big part of all the arts is presenting a world, I've said this several times, and on this, that being in the arts is about presenting a world that is actually not there presently. Watching a movie, that's not real, right? But what's it saying to you? It's saying, this is real, we're in Narnia, this is real, we're in, Middle Earth, this is real, we're on, we're in Russia escaping from communism or whatever. So so the arts is is about creating a world, and so we're saying, well, hey, I'm gonna act like somebody else that does as well. And again, it's not fake. because you're not saying I am that. You're saying that, or I am possessed by them or overshadowed by that. You're just saying, hey, it would help me a lot if I just started acting like this guy, this girl who does this great. So anyway, and so let's see. I wasn't going to talk about that yet. Why is that here? So I find, now we're talking about performing, and I find that this is a tremendous tension. This topic number 2 here is a tremendous tension between emoting, and I say this to everybody, I said it the last several times, to emote, have fun. This is real and great, versus play precisely, play all the details, play amazingly skillfully, And it's not, I may have presented in the last 3 or 4 sessions like it's oh yeah, just go for it and have fun. Man, music is fun, music is life. But it's actually twofold, 2 things. One is that, and the other is I want to play skillfully. I want to play perfectly. I want to play the dynamics. I want to do it all correctly. And just discussing this issue, I find that I don't perform as convincingly, and I'm going to use this word, envelopingly, pulling you in. And boy, that's amazing. I did this song just on this thing, if you ever plan to motor west. Who's that? I don't know. Take the highway, travel my way, take the highway, that's the best. Oh yeah. Get your kicks on Route 66. So there's that song. And what am I doing? I'm just trying to think, I'm just playing with this. This is so fun. How neat I can be Nat King Cole or Natalie Cole or whatever, or actually it's neither one of those. I don't know who it would be. Because I listened to the original Nat King Cole. His original is good, but it's also 50s and kind of not in the later Nat when it's like lush and strings. It was more like, just a little trio, whatever he's got. Point is, I'm having fun, and I notice that I perform better, and I take little risks and sing little licks and do little things and do stuff. And it's like, if I'm playing with it, if I'm saying that's a positive, let's put that over on this side. Positive. It's fun. I'm doing stuff more creatively. There's less pressure and all this kind of stuff. And then conversely, I want to look like I did the same. No, I guess not. There we go. Conversely, I notice that a lot of times when I have trouble things and trying to flow, kind of have fun, and I notice, well, I'm not going to get some of those details, some of those aggressive details of things correct or in there, unless I act like I got to count this, I got to move my fingers, what key is this? Where are we doing that change? I got to think about those things. I've got to try to be an excellent, skillful musician. And I notice too that I make what I'm calling the freedom mistakes, which is where your mind wanders and you come up to a measure or the end of a line and you can't remember what that next chord is, or you can't, your fingers don't go to that right place, or it's like you play an F and you weren't supposed to play an F. And I'm going to call them the freedom mistakes because it means you weren't like thinking ahead, counting, that kind of stuff. So in our music, we have this tension between have fun and be light and be like the cool dude because it sounds so great. And I need precision, I need details, I need a lot of things to make my music great. And so it's a blend of those 2 things. And when we see in performance, it's kind of which way, what's off and what's, let's say you're really excellent and a lot of skills, but it's still not a very good performance. You need to turn up your excitement, fun, being somebody else or mimicking somebody else. And then it's like, oh, that's so cool what you're doing, but you forgot this measure and you forgot this chord and you really didn't play that lick, so you're turning up the precision. So anyway, the tension between those things. And that's a great thing to think about. And then for singers, it's important to, this is very singery, but it's important, and many singers do not, and some singers kind of put themselves out of the market by not opening their throat and dropping their tongue like a yawn. And so, just as we're singing, if I leave my tongue at its normal position, I get ah, that kind of tone. And what I would like is ah, and I'm talking about if you ever plan the Modal West, not if you ever plan, if you not but if you ever plan for resonance and fullness. And you can have your tongue so high up and your throat so tight that it'll does several bad things. The nasal sound is not necessarily a bad thing. I'll talk about it in just a second. But the second thing it can do is get the sound going up into your head. I'm talking about, blow your brains out. Nope. Sound going up into your head and making it very loud for you to hear and giving you a bad sound. The nasal sound, now there's two kinds of nasal sounds, just by the way. This is a nasal sound. I am talking, air is coming through my nose, and this is what I would call a nasally sound. Most people do not do that. To get that nasal or non-nasal sound, you have to close the soft palate. If air is coming out of your nose, then you're talking, singing like, if you have a plan. So that's a true nasal sound. Air's coming out of my nose. You have to close the soft palate. Imagine you're in the shower and water. Somebody splashes water out of your body, closes that soft palate on the top of your head. Says, I'm not going to let any water come into my down my throat, into my lungs. And that same reflex is like what closes off the soft palate, so that you get it doesn't become nasally. Now, the other nasal sound is like this. And I don't really consider it a nasal sound because the way it's made is by tightening your throat and raising your tongue, just like this. Now, there are times, and not me, Mark Black, but, country music, it depends on the country singer. There's plenty of people, country singers, who have many marvelous voices with or without nasal sounds. But plenty of country singers do not sing with a particularly nasal sound. But for example, I did one of the songs in the concert, singing with the student. I did a Constant Sorrow. So I went, I am a man of constant sorrow. I sing trouble all my days. Listen, I bid farewell, down to Kentucky. That nasal sound says, I'm from Kentucky, and I'm from Alabama. Born in Alabama, raised in Mississippi, and proud of it. But my point in mentioning that to you is to say that, so that's a good sound in different styles. And again, if I go, I am a man of constant sorrow, I've seen trouble. Well, that doesn't sound formal. I'm avoiding, I am a man. I'm avoiding that sound. But I'm saying even the open and good, clean, great sound for most styles, in some styles, will sound formal or sound like, oh, you ain't from around here. Really, it will sound like that. So the nasal, this kind of nasal sound, that's the accent. Sorry, I'm not doing accent. I, just nasal, not an accent, works good in a lot of styles. And anyway, so open up your throat, drop your tongue, imagine a yawn. The negative of that, it is conceivable that I can open up so much that it starts feeling like Fozzie Bell. Hey, what's going on? Hey, or I guess I'm doing Yogi Berra and Fozzie Berry. Yogi Fozzie Berra. So anyway, I can open up so much that I get a dull sound, and we don't want that dull sound. So in the middle between and is a good full sound for the vocalist. Okay, now let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So talking about a second ago, or 20 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. It is so hard to make all the connections that help students, people, learners, musicians learn as quick as possible. Is that I'm thinking about a student knows all these patterns, knows all these scales, but really can't, not only physically, they don't know how to connect them or enough to connect them. They don't, just for example, they don't know that, this pattern would be, right here, it could be, C Ionian or C major scale, but you do it here, and it's G mixolydian, and if you do it here, or you don't even have to move if the chords are different. It's A Aeolian or A natural minor. So, and I don't mean that's not esoteric, crazy words I'm saying. For some of you may think of that way, but it's not. It's just singing in minor, playing in the blues, and things like that. That I don't know, like, hey, this major pattern I'm playing, it's just the same. It's this pentatonic pattern, same place, same pattern, just left out some notes. They don't get that, And I don't mean that like poor them. I mean it like we're all trying to learn and connect these things. There's so many shortcuts. If we could just grasp the whole process and then be like, oh, this is here and this is here, and they connect and like this. And then it's not to say that there's no difficulties. Hey, TDV. Not to say there's no difficulties, but to say that, I don't know, half of them or a third of them are eliminated when you understand more, which is part of the purpose of theory. So that's a great big normal problem. And apart from my upcoming shameless plug for lessons, which is coming up here in a second, books and videos, trying, and even videos of online teaching and stuff like that, they don't seem to be nearly as effective. And I mean that like I would want them to be as a consumer of those things. I bought this book and it's going to teach me so and so, but it's not as effective as I would like for it to be in for us. And part of that is not even knowing how to apply it, or a lot of books and teachers and things are just monochromatic. I'm talking about a teacher, it's like what they do is what they're teaching you, without sometimes presenting you, here's the world, this is what I could do, and that may not be what you want to do, but you're presenting like this is it, that's what you got to do. They may not even know that it it's just one angle or aspect. So anyway, the point is, here's the shameless plug. So you should take lessons with me. Mark at DallasMusicLessons.com, or go to my website there, DallasMusicLessons.com, and just check out lessons, because I can connect many things for you. Yes, I have to say that. Here's my pipe. I did it. I'm required to say that 3 times in the video. This is the second time. One more time coming up. Okay, now another thing, which is just not shocking, is not the right word, but just stunning to me, that musicians, there's not an answer for this choice. Hard choice for musicians, that they have to decide things like, even performing for friends and family, you have to recognize that doesn't affect a great many musicians. Let's say a third of musicians are affected by this. But if you can play in many styles or several styles, and you love several styles or many styles, or you can play several instruments or many instruments, you're confronted with the fact that the listener most listeners, not all listeners, but 90% more listeners than musicians, 90% of listeners do not want to hear 17 different styles or 17 different instruments, and the exception to that would be they came just because you could play all those instruments. Roy Clark, which you could play all, you probably don't know who that is, do you? But, Roy Clark could play a dozen instruments, trumpet, as well as guitar and the various country-ish musics and all kind of stuff. Point is, but the listener usually does, unless you went to hear somebody kind of do a variety show, look at all this stuff I can do, what the listener wants, including me, usually, I'm talking about, I came for a classical concert, I came for a rock concert, I came to hear Led Zeppelin, not even rock, Led Zeppelin is what I want to hear, And so this is a series, this is the easiest choice right here. It's just, what does this audience want to hear? They want to hear this or that, including just your parents, just, your family, So you may love Rachmaninoff or Schoenberg, God forbid, but, your audience does not, and meaning, your parents don't want to hear Trinity for the victims of Hiroshima. And neither do I. But anyway, that's a very small audience joke for a small audience. But anyway, so the musician has to decide what his audience likes. But then when you go on, if you want to be a professional musician or you want to be a very deep musician, how do you should just be classical, or just for example, the classical music is not quite the same as movie music, and movie music is not quite the same as musicals. And if you like rock and you like blues and you like country music, I'm using musician, but most people have to choose to get their stuff marketed, sold, or to get a gig, or to get a job, or it's like you have to get in a band. Like you, world's greatest blues player. Well, we're a rock band. Well, I can play that too. It's like, well, you have to show us, because most of these musicians only play this one genre, maybe a big genre like rock, but it's not like we're not expecting to hop on over to fingerstyle suddenly. So anyway, I'm talking about that musicians have to face these unusually, you wouldn't quite think it'd be a choice or a necessity, but they have to face difficult choices about, again, first off, reading the room. What do these people want to hear? What do they come for? But then bigger than that is like, well, if I spread out over all these different styles, how am I going to make a living? How am I going to make a YouTube channel that's got, covering the earth, of music, or a whole bunch of stuff? So, and then give you an example, which is just fascinating. And those of you who are country music fans, all 7 of you, no, I'm kidding, is, the 3rd largest style. And it's up there with rap and different stuff like that. But country music, country-ish music. But Garth Brooks, the big hero of country music, super popularizer of country music in the 90s. Garth Brooks, very good musician, vocalist, songwriter, and world class in terms of performance. When he'd see him in concert, he work that room. And I'm not talking about right now styles. It's like, everybody who went to a Garth Brooks concert would feel like, man, this is great. I got my money's worth. Exciting, all this kind of stuff. Well, I don't know how far in his career, but I'm just going to pick a number and say, like in '95, as they hit the in the 90s, 91, 1983, and these numbers may be 5 years off. But somewhere in, like, say, 95, he's super popular. I mean, all kind of albums, number one. But somewhere in there, he started off kind of not country only, do James Taylor and covers and all kinds of stuff like that. But he came out with this album of all pop stuff, and did his hair differently and called himself Chris Gaines. I think that's it. And great album. And it flopped horribly, and all his fans, like, you big sellout. And only thing he was doing is just being like, hey, there's more to me than just, Mama's in the graveyard, Papa's in the pen, and that maybe his most famous song is, I got friends in low places. So Friends in Low Places, great title. So he's like, that's not just me, I got this other side. Well, people didn't accept that. Now, my point is not you rotten audience. Not at all. We don't want, when I go to the store, they go to buy a car, I don't want to be presented with a jacked up, 350, and then a Alfa Romeo, and I don't want as serious options for me. I could, somebody guys driving why don't you test drive this Celica, unless I want Celicas. It's like we have genres. We all have, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. And so anyway, it's just a difficult decision or issue, a serious issue for the musician, particularly, first, this audience like what I'm doing, and then secondly, if I have interest larger than just a relatively small size of music, is that how am I going to pursue that? Can I pursue that? And so let's see here. So yes, okay, good. All right, well, let's see. I don't think I have time to pursue my next thing. I was going to say that about the thing about your personality, which I talk about a lot, and it doesn't matter whether I talk about it or not. It is a huge component of why you are failing or succeeding in your music, and that's why I would be failing or succeeding in my music. You know, the big component of that is either having a personality that lends itself towards, you know, the kind of music and things that I want to do, or it doesn't, and a person has recognized, okay, I am weak here, let me shore that up, and I'm really strong here, so let me lean on that when I need to, and, you know, understanding how they are. And that's a huge part. It doesn't matter if people acknowledge it or not. It is, because it's defined what they have succeeded in or failed in. It's not the only thing, but just the fact that somebody would go to get help for their bad voice. Who does that? Not everybody. Everybody doesn't do that. I'm not talking about whether they want to be professional musicians or they want to get it fixed. There's, you know, based a lot of it be based on your personality, whether you would go get help, or if you got help, if you trust the help, you know, which is a funny thing to me. People taking lessons and stuff, and they don't trust what I'm telling them. It's like, well, oh, they won't do what I'm telling them. It's like, well, you wasted your money, and you know, it's not helping you. So my point here is that your personality is affecting your music, whether you want it to or not, and mine. And so anyway, so I was just going to say, if you want to get just a very shallow but kind of quick, go to my website, dallasmusiclessons.com, and then up at the top it says resources, and click on resources, and under one of those says your musical personality, and just click on that. It's a little, it's not even a test. It's like, read these paragraphs, and which one says it's you, that you say, yeah, that's me, I'm like that. Then click on that, and it'll tell you, here's your strengths and weaknesses as a musician. So that's a great thing to do, just in the sense of a great way to kind of channel, I mean, to get some answers. And you might do it and go like, wow, you're right, I am like that. And it says, like, here's how to fix some of the things, you know. And of course, a little 2 or 3 or 4 paragraph thing can't fix everything, but it may be a nice start for you. So here we go. So I'm Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music, my channel on YouTube. This is To Play and Sing, our live stream Q&A about trying to answer people's questions about music. And this is number 72. So I want you to have a great week. I want you to be blessed. I want God to bless you in every way. And I want to find the button to turn this off. Okay, so you have a